We don't say fucking fried joels or tortillas or jalapeno. But for some reason, I think I would heard it was Scandinavian fishermen 100 years ago. They fucked up the. But anyway, even the Latin guys say it. So I think it's a test. If you hear Pedro, yeah, he ain't been here. But anyway, we come out today, a breather, and this guy with the fucking Kotex around his neck and his hair all out, turns out to be Nicky Beat. He's the drummer of the Weirdos, and he tells us there's a scene up in Hollywood. You say West Hollywood now, where people write their own songs. And we said, what? And that's how we went and saw the Bags. It was Sunday afternoon. 4 bands for $4 or some shit. I know that sounds stupid, but that's 40 years ago, 45 years ago, how fucked up it was. Nowadays, I mean, there's, I have this Watt for Pedro show last 20 years, 5 months. And there's these cats, they start writing songs right out of the stable. It was like, get the Geo. And all we was getting was the no-go. Why? Because somebody said so? It was like building models, right? Kind of looks like the real thing. It fucking ain't. This ain't Blue Oyster Cult. This ain't Creedence. In fact, I couldn't hear what that Stu Cook was playing on those Creedence records. I can now. They're good bass lines, but fuck, 1.5 inches of grape juice, and you need 10 quarters on the stylus to keep it from skipping. And I remember looking at the record covers, and I look at the singers' shirts, kind of like Mark Bolan's Bola. That was the first gig we saw was T-Rex. So I thought, maybe if I wear the singer's shirts, that's how I got into flannels. I thought if I wear the singer's shirts, maybe D-Boon will still like me because I can't tell what the fuck this guy's playing on bass. In fact, I didn't know how bass had bigger strings until I was 16. The whole thing was kind of mysterious in those days about shit. I'm not saying they're better. No fucking way. But it's the way it was. And I think that's one of the reasons why me and D-Boon and Georgie really got into it. We were really true believers because the other thing was bullshit. We were never good. I mean, nobody even talked about expressing yourself, using music as a way to express yourself. It was just something you did with your friend, very important. Bring Georgie. Georgie, it was incredible. He was a main guy at high school. And here he wants to play with us. Man, everybody was telling him, these guys are fucking, what are you doing with these guys? And Georgie's like, fuck you. We're going to play songs. We're going to write songs. We're going to play gigs. Georgie was so bitching to do that for us. And then he came back, and helped us. The Reactionaries was the band before the Minutemen.
Sure.
Maybe a year, right? And D-Boon wouldn't even write songs. It was shit. It was my first time I wrote songs. It was terrible. But Georgie came back. We had another drummer when we started Minutemen, but this guy lasted only 2 gigs. He thought the scene was fucked. It was kind of trippy, right? So I don't blame him. But Georgie comes back. Greg asked us to be SSTO02 after our second gig. So Georgie learns all the songs in 3 weeks. And July 20th or something, 1980, we recorded and mixed Paranoid Time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for $300. I paid for it. But it was way worth it. Got us going. I mean, those were beautiful guys, those SST guys. Greg wasn't looking for a fake Black Flag. He did it with Meat Puppets and Husker, too. Look at us, 3 trios, all operating with the same machines, but way different sounds.
Absolutely.
Branding and genre and fuck off. I mean, punk. What a genre name, guy gets fucked in jail for cigarettes. Why would anybody call their music this?
Right.
But then when we saw it, it was like, you know what it is? They just don't fit in. So they're going to create their own parallel universe. Not better, not worse, but something that they can get their hands on and get going. And like I said to D-Boon, we can do this. And
you guys cool.
We ended up really true believers. We didn't think it was some stepping stone or some kind of fucking costume to fool people and get in the door, become something else. We really lacked the ethics of this movement, which was basically, we found out later, something Walt Whitman was doing, in 1855 with his first edition of Leaves of Grass. He thinks he's going to write 12 poems and stop the Civil War from happening. He prints it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like that, talk about the city. There was a band up there called Black Humor. I remember they had this tune, and there's a line in it where the lady goes, "The only thing new is you finding out about it."
I can remember with that
Never left my mind. You know what I mean? A lot of shit. It's already been. I got to help Stooges for 125 months.
one. That was pretty sweet.
Finally, the youngest guy in the band. And I find out the Ashton brothers, Brother Steve, Ig, there was garage bands, there was little labels, all kinds of shit going in the 60s. It all got forgot because of that arena rock shit in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So punk didn't really invent hardly anything. But it was the geo to let's get it going. You know what I mean? And, wait for the clown car ride, get your soapbox derby trip, whittle your own totem pole. Totem pole was funny. Georgie was great with slang, if we had to go on before he could take a dump, he said that's what was like inside him. Pounding. Because you bounce on your tailbone using all your limbs, he says the word drums. And he says not only that, but the faces on that totem pole. Yeah. So well, you know what I mean. It's learning by doing. It's you know what I mean. Like any skateboarder, right? Fall down. You can't talk your way out. You're gonna have to physically get up and back on that strip, and that's a perfect parallel in some ways. And we were very lucky, to graduate San Pedro High School in 1976, right when this shit was going on. I can't imagine Minutemen without the movement. Now, I can imagine me and D Boom playing music together. And what a fucking bitchin' scene that they would let us use something that personal to be part. You got the cojones, the key, come, bring. Grab a spedal for some shit like that. I huge debts. One of the I told you about 20-year, 5 months of the show. That's the main reason I do it, to pay back on that debt. Georgie, myself, and D Boone got to be heard. I should let other cats be heard. Maybe, Glenn, that's one of the reasons why you're doing your show.
100%, Mike. Yes, thanks for saying that. Yeah, that is exactly why. Yep, it's to expand the community, and everyone has their stories and stuff. And Mike, I'm just so blessed that, man, you spent time with us today. I mean, it's amazing. One thing I wanted to mention, Mike, there was a show I saw you at. It's probably the first time I saw you live, and it was a solo show. And for some reason, Costa Mesa, and I used to live in California. I'm in Colorado now. Probably around 95, Mike. And the band, you guys were supposed to play with an early incarnation of the Foo Fighters. They did not show up. And I guess, I don't know, someone in the band was playing with you, and you ended up doing a solo show. Do you remember that show?
People were sick, and I had to ask for a drummer.
Yes.
And, I just wanted to try my hardest. And
you killed it. You were amazing. It was great. It was so unique.
That was a hard tour. There was a lot of hype. It was really beautiful getting played with Dave Grohl, one of the most incredible rock and roll drummers. And Ed did great on the guitar. And Pat Smear, oh my God, I couldn't believe getting to play with that man. But, life deals you hands, so you get that opportunity. But then, see, the word luck, that's an abbreviation, because actually there's two kinds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uno, suerte. I mean, there's the mal, right? There's the bad. No one ever wants to talk about that luck. And sometimes it's mixed up. I think of Ed from Ohio. D Boone. His good luck in a weird way is D Boone's bad luck. So you got to almost be afraid to even think about luck.
Right? Mm-hmm.
It's about something you're out of control, right? It just gets foisted on you. And was that sitch that night, Glenn.
Very unique, though. Yeah, I thought you pulled it off great. I mean, you even asked if there were drummers in the house. I think.
Did it again. All the Cali gigs almost were like Cruise was like that, Sacktown. Because those guys, yeah, we're learning about that now, man. You get sick, right?
Absolutely.
Around, you gotta.
You guys are passing the virus around
You
that
know,
too.
it's a fucking. Well, I didn't get it. Because, Trippy 2, the last tour I did in fall of 2019, right? I was sick of getting fucking sick, and you know what? I ain't gonna shake anybody's hand this tour. I idea what was going to
not
come,
shake somebody's hand.
but you know, didn't get sick, and I drove every 13,800 miles, 45 gigs out of 45 days.
Wow.
60 years old at the time.
Man.
Yeah, there was something about
Impressive.
that. I'm not saying be strangers to people, but maybe throw some elbow. We're in the kitchen, right?
That's where we are now, for sure. It's all elbows.
Oh, but you were at that gig, man. That was something where I just had to do something.
Yeah. No, everyone was totally into it.
Without being a coward. I didn't want to let people know.
Mike, everyone was totally into it. I mean, that's the thing. Like, everyone really enjoyed the show. It was a very unique thing, and man, it was great. You played a lot of your tunes. You just went up there and played your tunes. It was great.
21 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
And
right?
when I stood in the middle like that, that was a hard. But that helped me too. That helped me too. Ball hog your tug, but the whole idea was a test for the bass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought if the bass player knew the song, anybody could come in and sing, play guitar, drums. What is it? What is it? What is a bass? Without D Boone, I didn't know what to do. It was always so easy. What kind of bass player are you? Oh, I'm D Boone's bass player. Yeah, but he's gone. Yeah, but D Boone's bass player could still maybe get a band going. So was that idea. Now, it was a studio thing. It actually was 17 bands. It's not a solo record, 48 dudes.
Yeah. What an entourage.
I was the rudder man, okay. But it really helped me to where I am now with these projects, all these different things.
And your pal Sonic Youth, man, when you played on Evil too. That was a great,
Well, Evil was very important, yeah, because that's the first time I played bass to help them out on a couple tunes. And then we did a project called Ciccone Youth.
Yes, sir.
So I made this 45 with Greg Ginn played the lead guitar. That was really important. People ask me about the old days, and I say it was about people, but I think the new days are about people too. I think it's always going to be about people.
Yep.
The reason why we can enjoy a Shakespeare or whoever wrote that shit, Shakespeare, because technology is so much different 500 years ago, but still because the human condition, right? So that's why I think people are going to be always important. And no matter these other things, how we get to the gigs, how we let each other know about the gigs, how we put together albums. I've done several albums with people without some people I've never even met by trading files. I mean, you could do more with the internet than just spread lies. You can also collaborate like you do with fucking Kevin for these lemon limes, right?
Oh man, absolutely. Thanks for mentioning that, and thanks for
batch.
playing us on your show too.
I'm waiting for the next batch.
We're
you guys got
it's on me, man.
All's in Kevin's part, Mike. I've done my part on this third one. So
it's my fault. All my fault.
No, it's not.
What Orson Welles learned us, no wine before it's time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I got a big file of lyrics I got to get going. One thing I wanted to mention is you mentioned technology, you mentioned the Ciccone Youth, and you mentioned just good dudes. And I had the pleasure of working with Ethan James on a couple of records, on the first two Front albums. And me and him were talking one time, and we were talking about how you guys were doing "Burning Up." You're doing that Madonna song, and he had mentioned that it was
talking at the same time here.
Oh, sorry.
Ended up in the city as a guest San Francisco Philharmonic.
Oh man,
Birdie player.
Wow.
The man left us way too soon.
He did.
Beautiful man.
Yeah.
Very.
Tell me a story about your experience with him.
Funny, he was telling me about when he recorded the Burning Up Madonna tune with you. And it was the first time he'd ever used a sampler.
Well, Lindrum too. He had a Lindrum he
Yeah.
programmed.
Yeah. But he had mentioned that to do the chorus for Burning Up, that he just had you say, I'm burning up. And then he just kept hitting that sampler thing over and over just to do the background vocals. And I'd never heard of
it was the first time he used a sampler, but also he programmed all that drums on a Lindrum.
Yeah.
So the only real people are him, me, and then Greg Ginn on lead guitar.
Right.
Oh, wow.
That's
The
pretty
thing
cool.
on the Whitey album is just the little demo I made for Thirst to prove that I was serious about the project. And I had
Right.
was in my apartment. I'm nowhere on that album.
Yeah.
Jay Mascis did some guitar stuff. Yeah. He took, I didn't even know he was going to be there, but he took my demo. But that thing with Ethan was beautiful. But he also recorded the first 3 dose things.
Yeah.
He did the first couple fire hose. He did
Uh-huh.
double wings on the dime. Ethan James helped me big time. Radio Tokyo in Venice. And then he had a little studio in his pad in Hollywood across from the Shit Art Center on Sunset Boulevard in Stanley. I'd never visited him up in the city. So I don't know what he had going then. What did you guys do? Go into a studio or did he have a home thing?
No, we went to Radio Tokyo. So right there in Venice, we recorded.
Oh, so you didn't do it up there where you live. Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, we just did the 2 front albums were done at Radio Tokyo.
Yeah,
And so around that time, so 85.
That time you were still in San Diego.
Yeah. So we're still in San
Or
Diego.
National City, I should be more.
Yeah. Where I grew up. Yeah. So I still go down there every once in a while. See my dad. Still alive.
And that's only 120 miles where you're 400 miles away.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a beautiful man and very encouraging and never fucking was a lame-o.
Just
Never
great.
never put a toot on you. That man was beautiful.
Yeah.
But ended up teaching himself hurdy-gurdy and became the San Francisco. Yeah.
That's so wild. I had no idea.
Wow.
I was
But
surprised
Okay.
when he talked about his Blue Cheer time. That was pretty surprising.
Well, yeah. He's on everything but the first album.
Right. Ralph Kellogg.
He's actually from Sacktown. Yeah, Ralph Kellogg.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I just had to chime that in there.
Actually, the first keyboard man, before they ever made a record, before they went to a power trio, they saw Cream. V. Vale.
Oh, no way. Oh, wow.
Way. Yeah, Beachy Way.
Oh, my God. I saw Vale.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Wow.
We had him on the show, and he was actually, they had 7 or 8 dudes in the band, but Dickie saw the Cream. He said, we're getting rid of everybody. We're going to be a power trio. Yeah. But then they got Ethan and that. And beautiful man. So Spot, who did the early minute.
Oh, man. Yeah. Spot. Underrated producer.
Lives
right?
in Sheboygan now, Wisconsin. Great guy. Lived in Austin for many, many years. Grew up in Lamont Park, SoCal, on the same block as Ray Charles.
Yeah. And his real name's Glenn. Most people don't know that.
Yeah, that's right.
Spot. Yeah.
I never called
I
him.
know. Yeah. One N Glenn too, which is even weirder. There's most Glens are 2 N's. He's a 1 N Glenn like myself. So yeah, Spot, very underrated producer, in my opinion.
Got to get together and do the Glenn sound.
Oh yes, yes, that would be fantastic. Are you kidding me? Definitely. Mike, the first time I ever heard the Minutemen was on one of those. It was Life is Ugly compilation. And I think you guys did the T-Rex Prelude on that, I believe. It's one of those I had all 3 compilations.
I'll tell you about it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
There's a guy,
Mike.
Gary Cale, who kind of stole
Yes.
ideas from New Alliance Records and SST Records. So he makes these compilations. Where he
Yes,
takes
sir.
things. He told me too, I got this punk band, I got a goth band, and this. People like that really kind of upset me in the way because they were treated as a scam, as some kind of hustle.
Sure.
But we believed in the movement, so. But he's a good guy and stuff. I think he got fucked up on slogans and that. But that's where that was from, And anybody who wanted to start something up, we try to help because the same was done to us.
Mhm.
First song a T-Rex. They weren't called T-Rex yet. Two-man version when they're called Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yes, sir.
Here to stars. So you went and purposed that, put a bass and drum. Had like bongos or clay taps.
Yeah, Peregrine took.
Yeah, it's before Mickey Finn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Beard of Stars is a good record. I was stoked you guys did that. It was really a cool version that you guys did.
Shit you hear at parties on one of those compilations as well?
Yeah. Yes, and Maternal Right, and it's two songs on that are on one, and then
Things that we did with
the guys are on all three, I believe.
Mike Patton, not Bungle, but nothing. Not on the beat. They give some. They give some.
Kind of lost them there.
Yeah, I can't hear you, what?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm
there you
talking.
go. There you go, brother.
But I tried to those are songs.
It's like cutting in and out.
I can see you talking, but I can't hear.
Yeah.
That's why video's fucked up and I don't use
Yeah, you're right, Mike. Absolutely.
better of a bandwidth. That's why it keeps going
Absolutely.
5 times a week. I'm gonna turn off the video and maybe I can talk that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
You see now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Parties, prelude, those kind of things, they have a certain kind of sound because they recorded at a Orange County studio called Casbah with Mike Patton.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Patton, not the singer of Fate No More,
Right.
Mr. Bungle,
Middle
but
class, yeah.
player of Middle Class and producer of Adolescence. He went on to run the Orange County bus system. Great guy,
Oh.
Mike.
Super
And
nice
so
guy.
these songs came out on Bean Spill, 7-inch on Thermidor, Minutemen, and also Alliance Records, Minutemen, Politics of Time, and also SST cassette, My First Bells. But we did give the songs to Gary Cale, put on those compilations. But nobody picks how they find people, how they first come to something, you know?
Yeah.
So whatever you did, I'm glad Gary could put it out there and stuff. What can you do? Everybody runs their own boat, you know, and if they use certain things, like they think it's just some kind of way to fool people, okay, that's the way they do. Other people might think, wow, I'm glad these kind of ethics exist. So, however it comes, glad we got to put that out. I'm glad you got to hear us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, same
I
with
don't want anybody hating on that
I
guy.
got
Because of, he had some very sad things happening in his life.
Yeah.
You know, it's trippy about that stuff. I mean, you know, whatever you call it. I remember Elvis Presley once, right? Louisiana hayride. They goes music racket. No, he goes music business. I mean racket. I wish it was a business. That's where the dude gets pissed off. Oh, you smoking marijuana? You know, because you let out the fucking truth, didn't you? Fuckers.
Right.
Wish it was business. Sometimes, you know, I think what he got through, right? Some people will rob you with a gun, some with a fountain pen.
It's true. It's true.
But our music got out there, you got to hear it.
Yes.
Mainly why we made records in the old days. We thought the gig was such a big deal after seeing club gig movement. we thought we divided the world into two categories. There was gigs and flyers. Everything that wasn't a gig was a flyer.
Mm-hmm.
Get people to the gig. So that's why you made records. That's why you gave like Gary a song. So they'd hear it, maybe come to the show because it seemed like there was nothing in between you and the gig goer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the guy had to let him in the door. But once that happened, it was all about you playing the best you could for them. So it seemed like the less bunch of shit that was not in your control, not that you were responsible for. And so that's why we thought gigs were fucking really bitching. It was everything. Now I'm glad we made records not just for being flyers, because fuck, that's the only way I can hear people.
Yeah.
But
And
in those days, we saw them as only it's kind of opposite, right? You toured to like promote records. Well, we made records to promote gigs.
that's awesome.
Everything. Doing a spiel, taking a picture, all that shit. It was all to get people to the gig. We really
Mike?
thought that was the most profound thing. You know, because it was new to us. Before the movement, gigs were like things at arenas where people were very tiny and sound was very bad. And
Yeah.
you never could see yourself being part of that. Gigs were way different. They were very inclusive. You could talk to Pat Smear. You could see that the bass had 4 strings. That's why they were bigger.
Mike, did you guys practice a lot? George, and D Boone, where you got, because all the live footage I've seen, like the We Jam Meccano film and the other footage I've seen, you guys are always super tight live. Did you guys practice a lot?
Prac was at least 4 or 5 times a week. They were never long. Pracs were usually like a gig.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So maybe an hour at the most, 40 minutes. But we made them regular.
Right.
Minuteman was working other jobs besides music.
Sure.
So, you know, we had to budget our time. Couldn't live together. We're all firstborn, 2 village. But
Right.
the band together. A little bit me and D Boone lived together, but mainly we had to live on our own. So we had to, I mean, those days was more econo to live, but we still had to do other things. So we had to budget our time. And so not long pracs, but consistent pracs.
Sure.
And I still do that.
Yeah.
We don't do long pracs. I just got done with one, right? With Missman. And it was an hour. Don't go more than an hour. Diminishing returns for us, you know. Instead of having to reinvent the wheel and rebuild Rome, you make them consistent. You kind of carry something of the last prac to the next one. Of course, real prac is playing gigs. But playing gigs, you need that other prac too.
That was one of the things that impressed me when I first saw you guys, which was in '85. Actually, it was in '84. When we're talking to you backstage and you were doing the set list out, you were, getting the 2 pieces of paper, the 2 long pieces of paper, and taping them together.
Or 4 because Minutemen.
Yeah. You had, I don't know how many songs were on there, but you were putting.
George and D Boone never dug making set lists. They said, "You make them what, and we'll copy."
But I remember you were doing it by hand, and I was saying, "Hey, you guys going to do this song?" And then you'd write the song down, right? And so it looked as though you were doing it on the spur of the moment, like you were just like,
but I was.
"Oh, that'll be
my
good."
job, like playing the bass part.
But then I'd see you on stage, and you'd be playing these tunes together, and you were like hitting the spots. Like as soon as Only Minority stops, you rip right into something else. And I'm like, "Hold on, man! I saw you make that set list. How the hell can you guys do that? Switch like that."
They're looking at the set list. They're looking. Minutemen always look ahead of time, right? Because the short songs are so short.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always looking at the next one.
Yeah.
People worked hard all week, paid money to come see us. We weren't about anybody's time.
Yeah, I mean, how you guys could switch gears like that?
The experience of seeing the Germs. They were so good, especially getting ready for that album. But then they do these 10 minutes between, we didn't know they were being provocative.
Right.
It was
purpose. We didn't understand that, We were so in the vaudeville mode, was like, got to work this gig,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what Minutemen did. You never assumed what the next song was. You looked, and that's why we did shit like that. But in that way, we weren't always playing the same song. So in a way, I think it kept it more fresh and out of being cruise control, braille, just, what I mean? You can get with anything, you can get into not being in the moment, and it just becomes connecting the dots. And that's a dangerous place because you never know when your last gig is. And would you really want your last gig to be something you played on fucking cruise control and not trying your hardest?
Yeah.
So Georgie and D Boon never let me down on that stuff. They always went with the, they asked me to do that shit, and I did it. And it wasn't just some kind of trip, they believed in it. Okay, Watt, if you're going to do that, then we'll run it down that way. Those were beautiful men, Same thing with same thing with Firehose. Everyone had no problem with me making the set list, and in fact, it was like I said, kind of like doing the bass parts. It was the same kind of thing. It wasn't supposed to be a power thing. It was just something that had to get done. Somebody had to do it.
Hey, Mike, are you and Georgie still going to be doing stuff together? I mean, for my money, every rhythm section, whether it's Stephen Perkins or whoever you're working with, they're all great drummers, Bob Lee. But you and Georgie have something that's so unique and so incredibly intuitive. I'm just curious, if you guys are going to be doing more stuff together.
There's something, it's maybe 20 years now, called Unknown Instructors. And it was put together by Dan McGuire in Toledo. For me and Georgie be the rhythm section, improvise, and Joe Biza would come in. And we're ready to do a fifth one. And the guy put together, Dan McGuire, the last one, the fourth one, he didn't want to do improvise. He says, make songs. And Jay Mascis, he'll go and try to put something to whatever we get. So this time we're going to do like that again. 12 tunes. Me and Georgie put it together. And then not just with Jay Mascis, but Joe Biza too. There'll be two guitar players. Half of them will be Joe Biza doing first, and half of them will be Jay Mascis doing first. And so that's what will be me and Georgie at the beginning to put together bass and drums. And that's probably going to happen in the next 2 or 3 months.
Fantastic. That's really exciting.
Oh, yeah. I love playing with that, man.
Mike, I've been digging on that Banyan stuff.
Perkins. That's Perkins.
Yeah, it's just a perfect, thing for you to just lay your groove down. I mean, it's a big ensemble. It's very creative. I really dig it, man.
It's had different modes and stuff, but it was always perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And probably and Nels was involved.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Nels was no longer involved. That's when I was no longer, and Perk don't do it anymore. It was Steve Perkins' thing.
Yeah.
It ended up being 3 albums. Second album, me and Nels are only on a couple tunes, but we were really part of the first and third one a lot. And but it's a Steve Perkins thing, and you got to give him big credit for that.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Did a lot of gigs too. But then Nels, one reason why he couldn't do it was he moved to New York City, so that makes things kind of tough.
The Big Apple.
It also ran its course,
Sure.
Like we did shit. We ended up even getting to fucking play what's that up there? It's kind of up by Monterey. Yeah, Monterey Jazz Festival.
Really?
I thought people were gonna fucking throw shit at us. Yeah. Going after John Schofield.
Oh, that's
He's
it.
bitching, right? He's bitching.
Yeah.
And we go on, and I'm like, oh, these guys sitting down and wearing sweaters and shit. I'm like, oh my God. So I told her, fuck it, let's just do Stooges. first, Funhouse. And so
Wow.
we just went for it, man. And at the end of the gig, the boss came up and said, "Yeah." You know, I couldn't believe it. I thought these guys were going to hate it, everything they had. Really, really, yeah. And in fact, there was two older guys. I think some guys were on stage with us. Yeah, I mean, guys in their 60s and shit, but jamming Stooges with, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
we did all kinds of stuff, but I remember the first one was Funhouse. And I was like, you know, you look over and they were all sitting down wearing sweaters. I'm like, oh my God. But you know, that shows to go. You shouldn't assume, especially nowadays, people are a little more loose about that kind of shit. You know, probably 10, 20 years ago, it would have been, before that, it would have been a nightmare. But people are, I think, getting a little more fucking, you know what I mean, open-minded about stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a positive thing. You know, in the old days, you know, yeah, everybody hating it. It made you strong enough to, you know, be on your own and stuff. So that's how you could really be DIY. But having people, you know, going to something like that and people finding some kind of joy in that without right off the bat saying, fuck these assholes, and hearing and then even liking it. I was really surprised. In fact, it started happening in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, where, wow, people who know how to play can like what you're doing, you know, stuff from the movement, punk. And of course, my idea of punk was never a style of music.
Right.
You understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything
Sure.
punk. Yeah, because it's not about a style, it's about a state of mind.
Yep.
Style's up to the band.
Exactly.
Movement was more about, you know, letting the freak flag fly.
Yep.
It's hard to exactly spell because people want to know this genre word, which I really wanted to be stomped out. I hate this genre word.
Yeah.
Like fucking, yeah, people, I don't know, making a market, you know, marketing. So they want
Yeah.
some shortcut on the shortcut on the truth by saying, oh yeah, it's this kind of beats per minute, or well, I don't know what the fucking thing is. Any kind of hat you wear. Some bullshit that has nothing to do with music. Fucking hate it. Fucking hate it. So music is music.
Exactly. Music is music. You couldn't have said it better, Mike, my friend. That's exactly the point. Plus, you know, the early all the what was going on in England and the United States at the same time. It wasn't about money. It was about networking. You know, like DOA. You know, taking a tour across America. You know, I mean, what 78 or whatever. I mean, it was all about a network. You know.
DOA, you're talking Joey Shithead. Yeah,
Yes,
those
sir.
guys. Torrent, yeah. Randy Rampeg.
Or the Damned coming in, you know, what, 77 or 76, coming to LA, and, you know.
Oh yeah, I remember when they came. When the Dam came, yeah, that was a big thing for the Hollywood punks.
Sure.
But DOA, I mean, that's not just a gig in New York City and Los Angeles and San Francisco. DOA,
Right. All
Joey,
over the place.
the drummer,
Mm-hmm.
Biscuit. Those guys, them and Black Flag, you know, they kind of started the touring thing. Greg,
Absolutely.
Chuck Dukowski, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They set up the fucking tour trip that a lot of it we still use. I mean,
Sure.
from 40 years ago. Yeah, those guys. DOA, Black Flag, very important. Very important. They don't get a lot of really, I don't know,
Everything's written down in notebooks and phone numbers too. It wasn't, people don't,
Yeah,
that,
I know, but there's
know?
not a lot of validation, what's the word? When you give somebody respect for fucking making,
Validation.
yeah,
Go ahead, you
validation.
got my
I wrote
permission.
a song called that. I can't even remember it, but no validation for
Right.
kind of inventing the tour, way of, playing the gigs around the country and shit. Yeah.
Definitely. And like you said, the small
Very,
place.
very, very, grateful.
Hmm.
Thank you, Joe Shithead. Thank you,
Right.
Chuck Dukowski. Yeah, absolutely.
What was that tour with REM like, Mike? I've always wanted to ask you that.
That's the
Like,
last tour.
yeah,
I'm not too happy. But I mean, we didn't know that was going to happen.
sure.
We didn't know who they were. We had to buy a record to see what they sounded like.
Right.
Yeah, it was trippy. It was this little cube that was kind of carved, right? It was like, what was it called? I can't remember the name of the thing, but it had a song called.
Well, how'd that even come about with you guys getting chosen to do that? Or
Right.
Take a break. Some Mike. There was two mics. One was the singer, and one was the bass man. And
Right.
bass man, beautiful man, big, one eyebrow, kind of like Hank. God, what was his name? He had to leave. He had his brain something happened. And then Peter, I
Yep.
remember recorded some. What's it called? For poets. Yeah. Last Poets, right? I've recorded him at his pad on a what was it? Thanksgiving. I was eating all. D Boone asked me just to eat. What is it? Cauliflower? No, not cauliflower. Broccoli. Yeah, green. I was just only eating broccoli. Oh my god. But that ends up being the last tour. I wear army clothes with the unshaven, so I look like a little bit like Tefe. A little bit, yeah. A little bit. That was D Boone's idea, and but it was very sad. The last gig was in Charlotte. Yeah, Charlotte, North Carolina, and maybe a week after that last gig, he got killed. Accident. So, but they're really good, and I gotta say it was kind of belligerent. A lot of the people who came to the gigs would throw shit at us. The label that they were on didn't like us on the thing. They wouldn't put our name on the table. The people in charge, $100, and they wanted to take money for the equipment and doing the carrying the equipment and all this shit and lights and all this shit. Where it was corruption, a lot of corrupt, but not the four guys. Guys in the band were really nice, and they knew a lot about music. They knew all about, but everything else was bullshit. Really wasn't. We had no idea, right? Because we never played with that kind of situation or something. And they ended up firing everybody except one guy named Microwave. It's one of their, I think cancer killed him, but he's the only guy they stayed on. And that drummer, Bill, his name is Bill.
Yeah. Bill Berry.
Yeah, he told, like, they had the fucking roadie that doesn't carry anything, right? Broga guy. And he said, shut the fuck up. Told this guy. This guy was talking shit about us. One gig, I was sent you guys home. And this guy was like, who the fuck are you? And I couldn't believe Bill talking like that. But in a way, I didn't, because he's a beautiful man. All four of them were very sweet. but us Minutemen had no idea. And I remember the singer, Mike, yelling at the crowd for throwing shit at us and calling, what the fuck? This is the Minutemen. And in a way, you couldn't blame those kids. They were like college kids, right? It was tertiary, maybe the third ring of, right? You're playing like Lynchburg. But, every gig's a good gig, right? And as far as you're playing, and okay, they don't dig it,
Right.
Being sabotaged. I remember there was a gig, one of the last ones was at, what's it called? It's got the lights in the roof, Fox Theater in Atlanta and stuff, 2 gigs.
Uh-huh.
3 or 4 creams.
We lose you again.
Yeah.
Managers, production manager, road manager, whatever. This kind of all this fucking bullshit, a bunch of hierarchy and all this. You never play a cover without telling us,
Clear it with us first, we got to protect our band and this kind of shit. We're like, what the fuck? Okay, okay. It was just so much bullshit. But they got rid of all them dudes except that microwave. They fired all those fuckers for being corrupt. Because they were corrupt. They were fucking corrupt. And you got to give those 4 guys, Mike and Bill and Peter, good guys, and microwave. Very smart.
Wow.
maybe they're different, Even 1 hour after that. But, weird.
Lost them.
And somebody, flushes the punch bowl. So sorry, assholes. We're just asked, very grateful to be asked on this thing and get to meet those guys. They're very sweet. Then this other thing, this machine, big machine, which actually is not disgusting, right? Vaudeville, it goes way back. There's work in the room. It's actually a great, what do you want to call it? 150 years old, right?
Sure.
So it's a great thing to be part of. What's that? When you work something, tradition.
Yeah.
It's a tradition to be part of. It's really good. And just because those assholes made it a dick thing, it doesn't mean that it was a lame thing. It just those guys made some decisions where they had a hierarchy. They had a kind of way of putting places where they should be born, and we were, in the toilet.
I remember we call that kind of tape, to fix things. Starts with a G. What's that called?
Tape.
I'm missing.
Yeah, you cut out there for a second, Mike.
Tape. What do you call this kind of tape?
What kind of tape?
Yeah, graph tape. Yeah, great tape. They put this on the fucking real estate. On the stage, we weren't allowed to go across it. It was called the geek line. We weren't allowed to cross the geek line.
The police line tape?
And we obeyed. But there was nobody ever did this shit. Yeah, these guys were making this shit up to make us be in the toilet. And the band didn't know about this. All this shit was done.
That's so weak.
Didn't know it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 35, 40 years, so I don't say shit now. I don't care. But they were dicks. They were real assholes. It's called the geek line. Don't go across the geek line. They know all the Creedence covers that you're going to do. All this bullshit.
Yeah.
We wouldn't pay somebody to move our fucking our own bass player or a drum set. We didn't want to give all $200 to our fucking man, I don't even want to think about it. You shouldn't have brought up that concert, that tour.
I'm sorry, Mike. I didn't.
I'd
Yeah.
always been curious about it. I really had.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Well, they
how
were
it happened in the
beautiful.
first
The
place.
guys in the band were beautiful. Everybody else was assholes, and they got fired for their behavior.
Sure. Sure.
Well, justice got served. That's good.
Yeah, they didn't know. They had no idea.
Yeah,
You know?
that's amazing.
I would never blame the guys in the band. And plus, we thought that's the way the big leagues do shit.
Right.
Well, most of them do. Fuck them.
Yeah,
I remember, Black Flag got to open for a band. Yeah, you can, rent the PA for $27,000.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, such corruption. But if you don't do something about it, it's going to keep going. It's like frat boys, I
Like
got
the Chitlin
spanked.
took
I was
it.
trying to get spanked. Yeah. But when people stand up and say it's wrong, things change.
I can't imagine what it's like now.
Well,
Like
right now
level,
we're trying to get things together so we can tour again. So, it's going to come back slowly but slowly. We're going to get back. The good thing is, yeah, maybe big labels and production companies, they don't run the whole game anymore. People have other options.
Yeah, it's true. The game has changed.
That's good. It's all broken down now. Lots of avenues.
Yeah, maybe it's not such a bad thing. Yeah. Like my heart bleeds pink lemonade when I think about fuckers. No, I mean, real sons of bitches, man. We treat it, but whatever. I let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I gotta assume there's always going to be a network of people that aren't jerks that are going to help each other out.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's what you folks.
Exactly.
Bad luck. Yeah.
Definitely. Absolutely.
My apologies, guys. I have to jump right now.
All right. Well, maybe I got. Think so, Glenn?
Mike, no, I mean, thank you so much for your time, Mike. I mean, if you're, we can end it right here if you guys would like. I mean, I just appreciate your time, Mike. It's so much fun hearing all these stories, and again, just appreciate all the great music that you've done. All 4 decades now, and what a phenomenal bass player, songwriter, and human being. Thank you so much for spending time on Sunday Spin with Kevin and myself. Our buddy Vinny usually comes on the show and joins us, but he wasn't able to get on the Skype call. But yeah, Mike, we just really appreciate the time, man. It's been wonderful.
I'm my best. Can't wait to hear the fucking new Lemon line.
We appreciate that. Yeah, it's inspiring.
Thank you so much for playing it too. Really,
But when you get done,
playing it on your show, that was fantastic. That was a big thrill.
get this new stuff done. I want you both to come on the Watt Pedro show so we can.
Oh, that would be an honor, man. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, again,
Thanks,
Mike,
guys.
thanks so much, Mike. And yeah, we appreciate you. Hope you have a great gig next week, man. Keep rocking, man.
Yeah, it was great talking to you.
Thanks, Mike.